Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Etcetera with the Woodards. I'm your host for this evening, Craig Woodard Sr., and joining me tonight is my co-host, Deontay Cooley. DC, thanks for joining me. How are you feeling today, sir?
Feeling pretty good, man. Kind of exhausted, but life
I
goes
was
on.
I was feeling the same. I was watching the game earlier, and I kept falling asleep. My travel coming up there and then coming back to Tampa drained me, man. It really, really did. So I hear you, and you've been real busy as well. I know yesterday you were out. Coach Henderson called you up and said, "Hey, man, I need you to come speak to my team." Um, Wonderful words you gave to these young men. Care to share? What was your message to the Erie High football team?
I mean, yeah. So that ain't my first time actually speaking. Maybe that team specifically,
Yeah.
but I told Dre, like if you ever need me, feel free to reach out to me. So I've been in the locker room. I went to a practice, a sideline and stuff like that. But more or less, what I was just expressing to them was like, football is a fraternity, and it's not about wins and losses. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
lot of it shows a lot of character when you complete a season. I played for Central, and like our team was not. Our record was 1-9. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I understood the importance of discipline. I understood the importance of building those relationships, listening to coaches, like having different people correct me, and then even just sticking through to it. So it was good to be able to be in that space because also you see those young guys take a lot of heat, like
Yeah.
because their record doesn't reflect what people expect them to be or what people say that they should be. So then you got people in the comments, with all kind of different comments. So I just wanted to speak to those young people and let them know the importance of what they were doing, the importance of the resources they had. I wanted to recognize the boosters and how active they've been in their season, and literally just just speak some life into them because that's what helped me. You know what I mean? Like adults
Mhm.
who I knew in the community or who I saw in the community or who I had access to, literally coming to speak to me and share a message or share a word with me, like it meant a lot. And those were the people who inspired me and motivated me to change. It wasn't necessarily my favorite actor, actresses, or my favorite athletes. It was more or less like the people who I had access to, the people
Mhm.
who I saw on a regular basis, and the people who I had the opportunity to admire. So I just wanted to go in there and have that conversation. And just kind of give them a little pep talk and let them know that what they're doing is important. So yeah, no, it was great to do, and he had some former players there.
Mhm.
State was there. The other young man, Jalil Granberry, he was there, and I forget the other guy's name, but they all just kind of shared their experience as far as being Erie High athletes, as far as their path in life and some of the things that they're doing. But again, the message for me was more or less just like you have a group of individuals around you that you can grow old with. I look at football like a fraternity, a brotherhood,
Mhm.
and I wanted to let them know that because at a young age, nobody told me that I would be connected to the people who I play sports with my entire life.
Yeah, great, great message. It was great to see, great to hear what you had to say to them. And here's the other thing too, man. I've been in the same situation. There's a couple cats on the team that want to go to the NFL, but it's a small percentage of people that can make it to the NFL. Now, out of all the pro sports in Erie, that has been the one that we've been successful in as far as making it to the NFL because we got the most athletes there. But it's bigger than that. They got to understand that the relationships that they're building right now in high school with these teammates, like you said, they're going to have these relationships as a fraternity ongoing. You never know when somebody makes it pretty successful and they're doing wonderfully professionally, and one of the other players is looking for a job. You know what I mean? And then they reach their hand out and pull them up, man, and share a bit of their career with them. So it's about relationships. It's about ongoing brotherhood, and it's more than football, man. Life. I'm 51 years old. You're 40. Can you imagine putting some pads on right now? You know what I mean? Football ends, and
Right,
life
right,
begins, and so
right.
that brotherhood, boy, is extremely important. And there's a lot of my brothers that are in certain positions that that I reach out to as well. For instance, brotherhood. We talk about attorney Dave Armstrong, my offensive coordinator from Mercyhurst University, who played with James Sherrod, rest in peace, right? James Sherrod wanted Ben Crump to speak at the Dr. King Awards, and look at how that came together. You know what I mean? It's brotherhood, man. That's how it works. So, great message, man. Enjoyed listening to what you had to say, and keep sharing those things. Um,
Absolutely. And then on top of that, like I think it's
yeah,
important, like stuff that Andre and his coaching staff are doing.
yeah,
Like I think that him and those folks, they realize that we're the elders. We are like the role models of the community,
yeah,
and there were people who did that for us. There were guys who coached. Some of them got paid. Some of them didn't get paid, but they made themselves available. You know what I mean? And they poured
yeah,
into it. And that's what I would like to see more of people of my generation, like us realizing that we are the elders, us recognizing that we are the elders, and doing what we can within our capacity to make sure
yeah.
that we are adding value to our community because everybody's trying to tear it down. So, and it's our city now to kind of like take on and to uplift and to build. So, kudos to the entire Erie Royal High staff. Kudos, shout out to the volunteers at Erie High, the boosters. They do amazing work, and the parents who show up week in and week out for those kids because that stuff is important, is needed. And I wanted to make sure to emphasize that as well because that's some of the things that we talk about when we talk about building our community up and we talk about a village mentality. Small things and simple things like that that don't go unnoticed but go unrecognized are some of the
Mhm.
things that need to be kind of shedding some light on.
You know, it's funny that you it's funny you say that, man, because when my cousin Cliff Crosby was in town, former NFL Super Bowl champ, you know, he was in town for his camp in the summertime, and he and I had a discussion on the phone that week. I believe that was the week he had went to the city council meeting, and we were having a discussion. And I told him, man, I said, he was like, "Where are our elders? Where are our elders?" And I said, "Cuz we are now the elders. We are the elders. You know, they have passed the baton on to us. So we can't sit back and start looking for other people to come and do the things that we all have just done over the last 6, 7 months, even longer than that. We are the elders, and we got these young folks that are looking up to us right now, and it's kind of surreal to take on that different role because you know we were always looking, you know, for Andre Horton and Gary Horton and all those guys back in the day. But a lot of these the young folks in the 20s and 30s, they're looking at us as the elders. So to step up and do some of these things and say some of these things and advocate like we're doing, it's a great feeling. But you know, I don't know when the transition happened. When did you feel the transition happened that we're the elders? When did you feel it?
Um, I'm being honest, I've been to it like since I was young. So I've been involved and active in community service and civics since like I went to the community schools. I mean community centers. Like I ate at the free lunch in the parks and
Yeah,
programs. I went to the Trinity Center and they had a leadership group. So I've always been a part of some type of leadership cohort or leadership groups to where like they were teaching us how to follow the steps in the path. So I would say when I came home from college, maybe
yeah,
22,
yeah,
when I started to feel like I had a say so in some of the things that should be happening in Erie, Pennsylvania, I started to reach out to some of the guys who are considered the leaders or the elders in the community. I
hmm,
started to get active and get involved in, the school board meetings and volunteering at the Erie Public Schools and, going to some of the community centers, especially when I got the job at drug and alcohol. I
hmm,
mean, just understanding how the community is needed and how like different things happen. It's a ripple effect. I mean, I'm an undergrad. I majored in sociology with a minor in social work. So I believe like this is just something that truly like I believe that I was born to be
hmm,
this way. I believe that I've worked and studied to be this way. So when you talk about stepping into leadership, and then even going back to the conversation we had on the Joel Natali show, like
hmm,
being a latchkey kid and having a younger brother to have to look after, while my mom went to work to take care of the family, it
yeah,
was more or less like I was put in a position to where somebody always is going to be looking up to you to do something, and I always just take it to the next level. So I don't think it was like a moment that like struck me to where like now is the time, but I believe that I've been in leadership training since the age of 7. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And even like I just got my master's degree in organizational leadership, and that was just I got that for free from working at Mercer. So I think like
Hmm.
all of this was just like a divine path that God has set me up on since I was a young kid, and I just continued to follow through my ups and my downs and my bumps in the roads. But I don't think there was like a time frame or incident that took place to where it was like, okay, now I need to step up, or now I'm a leader, or now I'm an elder,
Hmm.
because I spent the majority of my time with my grandfather as a young kid. So I got an old soul, you know. So I don't know exactly when the striking moment was. I just
Yeah.
knew that I always had a smart mouth, always questioned everything, always had something to say. So it was more or less like, let's keep going.
That's when you know you're successful. I remember this is one of the pivotal moments in my life. I was still at Mercyhurst University. I believe this was my junior year, and I got a summer job with the Erie Housing Authority, and everyone knows John Haran used to be the I believe he was the executive director of the Housing Authority. Rest his soul. And I was hired, and I was running one of the areas in the housing authority over on West 24th Street out there. And my job was I had some teenagers that were underneath me that we constructed certain games in the summertime for the kids in the neighborhood. It was kind of like, that daycare when the parents go to work. They left the kids with us, and we provided. There was a free lunch program there as well. Um, and I'm gonna tell you what, cause one of the rules that I did not like, and I was adamant about not following, and I said this to Mr. Haran, and I it was one of those things where I had to. Um, I either was gonna get fired or I was gonna change something. And I'd come out there every day, and one of the rules were there was only a certain amount of lunches that were provided, and they were dropped off. And I had tons of kids coming over. Some kids would eat, some kids didn't want to eat, some kids were still hungry. That might have been the first and possibly the last meal that they had all day. And part of the rules at that point were um, every kid gets one meal, and you couldn't have more than one meal. And I was like, there is no way that I'm going to throw this food away. Um, there's just no way I was going to do it. So, however, I needed to make sure that all that food was utilized with these kids. That's what I did. And I had a conversation with Mr. Haran, and he told me, he said, the rule is just, one lunch per kid. And I said, well, what if someone else is hungry? What are we doing with the food? We got to throw the food away? I said, Mr. Haran, with all due respect, I'm not throwing out one of these lunches. If there's a kid that's hungry, I am going to feed him. That is my job, plain and simple. And he listened to me, and he respected exactly what I said, and he changed the rule. He changed the rule, man. And so, for me at that point, uh, what was I, 20, 20 years old? And I'm speaking up to an executive director because of what I thought about the community and these kids, man. That's when I knew that I had it. You know what I mean? So it is pivotal for everybody. You also brought up the Talk Erie uh, podcast that we did, the radio show. It was kind of like Etcetera with the Woodards on the road, right? It was nice, man, to be in person with you, with Joel, Natalie on his show. We talked about some really good topics. What was one of the most interesting topics that you talked about, that you brought up, or you answered one of his questions on for the Talk Erie show?
The most interesting topic is the topic that I've been talking about, back talk.
Yeah,
Talking about money, talking about financial resources, talking about financial literacy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because that's important. That's something that we need to be talking about. We need to be emphasizing that, and we need to be understanding what that means. I'm not talking overnight millionaire stuff. I'm not talking get rich quick scheme stuff or scamming or nothing like that.
Right.
But legitimately, us as a people understanding what money is, what money does, how to use money, how to earn money, how to invest money, how to build up a financial plan for our families, for our legacy and stuff like that. And I think like the one thing about shows that show, and then even like other shows that I've been on, or even going on the news, be like the off-air conversation or the
Yeah.
commercials and ads.
Yeah.
'Cause I've done plenty of news interviews to where like the stuff that you say in the conversation and the stuff that you see on the news be like, man, you missed out on all the good stuff that I was saying to where people really needed to hear. And I
Yeah.
think the conversation that we were having while the advertisements were going was some of the most important stuff that we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Because I know it's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And I know it's like it's not really too sexy for people to be having these type of conversations. But when you think about the power of money, when you think about the power of finances, and when you understand, when you think about the power of understanding how money works and what it does, like I'm not gonna say it equals freedom, but
Hmm.
that's what plays a role in our freedom. And I think that since we talk about so many issues in society, it's easy for us to talk about racism. It's easy for us to talk about homelessness. It's easy for us to talk about substance abuse. It's easy for us to talk about domestic violence. But then when it's time to talk about money, everybody's afraid, or nobody wants to share information, or everybody tries to keep that information at the hip. And then if you think back to all of those other categories that I said that we easily talk about,
Hmm.
it's easy for us to indulge in those conversations and be victims of those subjects because we don't have money, because we don't have finances, we aren't being taken seriously. So then
Yeah.
that increases our mental health. It increases the issues we have when we dealing with physical health, and it increases the issues we have with substance abuse. And then ultimately, it takes us to like the reason why or what led us to even starting this or carrying this podcast on in the first place. When we talk about the systemic racism, when we talk about justice for Cello and the way Marcello was treated throughout the since from July 2nd all the way up until today, like
Yeah.
the things they say about his name or his character or how they try to justify him being shot and killed, or even it being two sides to where there are people who think that this is right and this is wrong. Like I truly believe that money plays a major role in a lot of the way that we are treated. And I
Hmm.
feel like we aren't kind to one another because of our own traumas and own issues. And if you think about us talking about building together or us talking about establishing finances together, ultimately we would have to become organized. We would build confidence. We would build courage. Our esteem would build. And then we'll be able to have our stuff together to be able to start marching forward and start addressing and discussing other issues because from running for city council to being a part of meetings and having conversations with different people, you're not treated like anything if you don't have money. And then redlining comes into play with that as well. You know what I mean? So I think when
Absolutely.
it comes to
Yep.
money, it's not a black and white thing. It's more of a
Yeah.
neighborhood thing, how they redline this. And there are some people who don't look like me who fell into the unfortunate status quo that I fell into because they live into those same neighborhoods.
Right.
So if we can start understanding and realizing that money is green, and also understand that when we're talking finances and money, we're not talking greed, but we're talking opportunity and we're talking access to change. Then I think that we can start pushing the needle on some of the other subjects that we discussed, some of the other issues that we have, because we can back that with funding. And we're not just throwing money at problems, but we're throwing smart money at problems with people who understand what money does and how money can help us and how money can build us up. So the most important, well, I'm gonna say the most, one of the most interesting things
Hmm.
on the Joe Natale show was me being able to have the opportunity to have bag talk on that, because I know when you say bag talk, it can be taken so many different ways, especially when it's somebody looking like me. But for him to engage in it in the off-screen conversation that we had,
Yeah.
it meant a lot to me because I know the stuff that I'm talking about when it comes to this, people are listening. And
Yep.
then it was just like we got to have that conversation the day before the preliminary hearing, which means everybody was paying attention because they was curious to know what we were going to say and what we weren't going to say. So it's more or less like when you got the attention of people on you
Right.
that are focusing on what are you going to say or what are you going to do, you have to continue to captivate their minds with things that's going to benefit their life. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We protested, we've city council, we've county council, we've prayed, we've screamed, we've done every single thing that we can do. Even in the face of adversity, there were people who said, "Shut up." There are people who are saying, "We don't want y'all talking no more." There was people who are saying, "Y'all doing too much, you're overstepping y'all boundaries."
Yeah.
But when you have the attention of people who understand right and wrong, then I think it's your job and it's your duty to continue to pour different information into them to keep their minds captivated and as well as to elevate their life. So like all of that stuff happened, like everything timed up for a reason. It was a perfect opportunity for us to start pivoting while also understanding the importance of this because of what happened on July 2nd and why we were treated the way we were treated from July 2nd to December 19th because all we had was screams, cries, and prayers, and we didn't have no bag.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%, man. And I piggybacked on what you were talking about as far as finances were concerned, in the piece that I added in. When I left the TV station, everybody knows I used to work at WIQ 12. When I left in 2003, I started in the financial industry, and I've been doing this now for 23 years. I talked about establishing credit. That is a quick way that can get you to earn more money, they kind of go hand in hand. People don't understand that um, you could buy a home for $300,000 or $100,000 and have the same mortgage payment. And the reason why you could have the same mortgage payment is because if you have really good credit, you're going to have a lower interest rate on that payment, which makes your payment lower. But also, if you have bad credit and you're able to purchase a home, you can only afford $100,000 home that gives you a payment that's equivalent to a $300,000 home because the interest rate is higher. So it starts with realizing how to maintain your credit. And people, they think about, how do I start? How do I start? My credit's jacked up. Where do I go from there? So what I tell them is download the app, creditkarma.com. Um, Take a look at your credit and see where you're at. Um, Start with one bill that's delinquent and correct it. One bill, and it's tax time here in the next couple of weeks. Instead of going out and buying all these clothes and shoes and all that stuff, invest in yourself. Put in some work to try to, correct a delinquent account. If you have a charge-off account that's a loss and it was $1,500, call the creditor out that had it, or if they sold it to a third party, maybe they'll settle on 25% of the balance, and
I
then
think
that's off your credit.
let me slow you down because I think you're getting a little
Yeah.
too deep into the credit conversation to where it's turning into a consult. But I do
Mhm.
think it's important for everybody to understand credit. Like we don't want to go too deep into it. Now you go. You don't want people calling you saying, "Yo, what was all that you were saying about the credit?" Like unless that's something that you do, I just don't want to be giving too much information out. And then you we got to make sure we get a disclaimer. We are not financial advisors. You know what I mean?
I am.
That's for you.
Yes, this is what I
Oh, say
do
that
for a
again.
living. Yes, absolutely. So when I talk about this, man, I get phone calls all the time. I help
Oh, okay.
people.
Go ahead then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you know what I mean. There's a lot of integral parts of the credit picture that people don't understand, and so that's what I wanted to add to this is that on top of the financial picture, it also has to do with your credit. Just start with one bill, correct that bill, and work on to the next bill. And you have to be disciplined because if it takes you 3 years to correct your credit, in the next 3 years, if you don't correct it now, in the next 3 years, you're going to be sitting in the same position that you're in right now. And if we have this conversation in 3 years, and I say, well, if you would have started 3 years ago, you could be in that dream house if you would have just did what I said to do. You know what I mean? So you got to start somewhere and just start with one. And a lot of people don't know where to start at because maybe their credit is jacked up because of certain financial decisions that they made. But when you have that, people avoid answering the phone when the creditors are calling. No, don't avoid the phone calls. Answer the phone. You have no idea what the creditors can do. They may be able to offer you a loan modification. They may be able to offer you a deferment to help you out. So that's one less bill you got to pay that month. But you're never going to get the help that you need if you avoid speaking to the creditor. So I wanted to just kind of add that into it, along with the financial talk that I brought up during the Joe Natalie show. Was very important, and there'll be ongoing talks that we're going to have. I know you ain't done talking about the bag, and I'm not done talking about credit. We got a long way to go, and if people want to learn how to do that, reach out to me, man. Y'all see my Facebook page, my phone number's out there as well. I could definitely at least get you on the right route here. So, and then later that night after the Joe Natalie show, cuz you and Malcolm went on Life After the Impact, and had a really good conversation on that podcast as we try to get cello story national. Can you talk about that experience as well? Nothing new for you, but nice to see you on a national stage.
Yeah, yeah. So those the ladies from the Life After Impact show, Malcolm had been in conversation with them, and he had been on there before as well. So what they do is they just continue to raise awareness. Their children were shot and killed by police officers in Virginia, and they have been fighting for quite some time. So what they do now is they raise awareness, and they allow people to use their platform to be able to speak to some similar issues. And what they do is they've also offered like a lot of insight, a lot of information, especially when we talk about again, people trying to like silence voices, and then you talk about the First Amendment right, and you talk about press, and you talk about this just being a concern for the community as far as us talking about justice for Cello. I don't think that that's a conversation that should end. I think that more people should be talking about it, and then you know what I mean. So we discussed that a little bit as well, as far as like us trying to continue to have national awareness on that, and then some other things that we can do to kind of build our community off of the awareness of how what to do in the event something takes place like that, or how do we
Yeah,
protect ourselves, or how do we build unity, which steps that we can go to, I mean, to get laws passed or bills changed. So like those ladies are very, and I don't want to mispronounce their names or nothing like that, so I'm
yeah.
not going to throw them out there. I know
Hmm.
Malcolm's watching in the comments. Hopefully you can shout them out, and and put their names in the comment section. But yes, what they
Hmm.
did say was like they appreciated that. They appreciate the things that we're doing. And they lost children. You know what I mean? They were like,
Yeah,
they love the fact that they have support from their community and other people nationwide. So what we're gonna do, excuse me, is just continue to build relationships with other people who have advocated for change within their community. Continue to exchange ideas with different organizations and different entities who have worked with national programs, worked with federal programs to see how change can be implemented in neighborhoods. Because one of the things that, like, the most important thing about all of this to me is that I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. You know what I
yep,
mean? Marcelo Woodard was shot and killed in Erie, Pennsylvania, in a neighborhood that I frequent, in the area that I'm around. You know what I mean? So this is not about, oh well, clout chase or nothing like that. This is more or less like, yo, I live here. You know what I mean? I have concerns
right,
for this city. You know what I mean? I have concerns for the people who live here. I mean, when you talk about right being right, when we talk about wrong being wrong, it's like, why would we have to ask for permission to do the right thing, and why would we not be having conversations with other people in other areas of the country who have experienced similar things, so that we can continue to raise awareness, and then even as people watch, they get that same information that we're getting and we're discussing, so they can know what to do. So then
yeah,
it's more or less like, even for you, like the immediate family, like, okay, now there's new names and new faces of people that maybe you can reach out to on an individual level to be like, oh, I didn't even know you all existed, but thanks to people who are advocating for change, who were
yeah,
advocating for justice, they brought you all to the table. I see you were on the show the other day, which is
yeah,
cool as well, because it's like, again, the more people that we're talking to, it gives other people the opportunity to reach out to those people and say, hey, can you help me? Or what are the steps that I can take? I'm not willing to go online, or I'm not willing to put everything out there, but I do see that somebody is. You know what I mean? So, and then on top of that, like when I go and have those conversations, like I have conversations with Shamil often, and she like, "Yo, keep being my voice because I don't have the strength to do this." So I
Yeah.
appreciate you out there and speaking up for Cello. I appreciate the things that you say for me and my family as well. So it's like when people reach out and say, "Hey, do you want to talk?" or "What's your take on this?" or "What's your opinions on that?" Like it's a couple people that I check in with, like, "Yo, is it alright if I do this?" Like, or "Do you not want me to do this?" And they like, green light, go, because it's necessary, it's important, and I think that they understand the big picture. So when we went on the Life After Impact show, and I believe that was our second time. That
Yep.
was Malcolm's third, I believe, our second time together on there. But
Hmm.
I love the opportunity to be able to use my voice and to spread awareness on the injustices or the injustice specifically with the murder of Marcello Woodard on July 2nd with other people in the United States of America. So I love that opportunity, and I love
Yeah.
Malcolm was on a different show as well. We talked, me and Jerry, we spoke to a news reporter in Buffalo.
Hmm.
So again, we wanted to go public. We want people to not forget what took place here because if it's forgotten, it can happen again and again and again, and nobody would know what to do if we don't put forth the effort to do it.
Yeah, the show I was on yesterday was KBLA out in Los Angeles. That was the second time I was on. This is not a drill on that podcast. It was on the radio and a podcast as well. And last time I was on that, I believe, was in September. So a lot has changed from then. Got on there and was able to give a really good update with them. Melina did a fantastic job and brought me in there and was able to talk about the charges, the arrest, and obviously the preliminary hearing. So it was fantastic, man. And when you can get on there and spread awareness and spread Marcello's story nationwide, we're really putting Erie on the map, man. I mean, when I hope that this doesn't happen to anybody else down the line. I really, really do. But if it does, they could look at all of the work that we have put in as a model of what to do, how to do it right, the pressure that they need to put on the powers that be in the city that they're in. I mean, we've really done a solid job, and we got more to go. You know what I mean? So speaking of the preliminary hearing on Thursday night, I handled the podcast and I kind of gave my perspective as a courtroom reporter, telling people what I saw just from my perspective. Um, I couldn't wait for tonight to kind of speak with you as well. You sat right behind me at the preliminary hearing. Um, Take me through. Um, what were your thoughts from the very beginning when they brought Kevin Seelinger in to the courtroom? You could kind of hear a gasp in there. Take me through what you saw, what your thoughts were, and just kind of run down the preliminary hearing for me.
So what's interesting is like even before that. So like I said before, like I worked for the Department of Corrections for 7.5 years.
Hmm.
So when I first came in, I seen a lady who, when I was having some issues, she was a union steward. She was one of the reps. She had helped me with some stuff. So she's like, "Hey, Deontay, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Cool. She's like, I'm friends with Sealinger's mom. I'm here to support her. Okay, cool. She asked me, "How's your mom doing? How's your sister doing?" Because she knows my family. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then I had seen two other people that I had worked with sitting there on that side as well. We didn't say anything. I don't know if they saw me. I'm sure we didn't make eye contact to speak. But
Okay.
when I had first come in the courtroom, I was expecting it to be like jam packed.
Yeah.
People all split up and maybe a little issues. So like that right there spoke volumes to me too, because again, when we talking about peaceful protests and we talking about peacefully seeking justice, like we all sat on the side behind the district attorney, those who were in support of Cello, and then it wasn't really many people sitting on the opposite side behind Seelinger's attorney, because I was checking the rows and I seen some faces to where it was people who came late who just sat on that side because the other side was packed. You had a
Hmm.
lot of news reporters who were sitting on that side, just sitting in the back paying attention. There were also other attorneys in the room who were sitting back, probably just taking notes, paying attention.
Hmm.
So it wasn't really like we met the Facebook trolls during their preliminary. It
Right.
wasn't like, okay, now it's a rowdy crowd on one side and a rowdy crowd on the other side. So Everybody was in there cool. It was a little bit of, conversation back and forth. And then the sheriff came. They made it now. It was a bunch of sheriffs in there. And they're like,
Yeah.
we're not tolerating any outbursts or anything, any noises. We're gonna put the cuffs on you, take to the jail cell. Boom, boom. All right, boom. Court's proceeded. So they had the video. They had the big TV in there, So then
Yeah.
you hear people whispering like, "Oh, he ain't even gonna be here. It's gonna be a video court. Is he gonna show up? How long was he about to be here for?" So all of this stuff going. I'm just trying to sit. Like I was trying to be by myself. Like when I sat down, I'm just mentally like at
Yeah.
this point, there was nothing that I could have done other than listen, be present, and pay attention.
Right.
So I really didn't want to get in there speculating, pointing fingers, or assuming because again, we've been peaceful this entire time. There's
Yeah.
been no name calling, shouting, get his mom, no mob mentality behaviors or nothing like that. So
Right.
like that was one of the first impressive things that I saw. And then so they all right, all rise, boom, she finna come out, the judge comes out, so you see the room like, oh wow, I'm expecting it to be packed in here, people standing, no sitting room. So whatever. Dude, he come out, I see him like, oh wow, this is so then in my mind, I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, right? I'll be honest.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking all the naysayers who was like, oh, he probably in jail or he at home. We didn't get to see him, and y'all doing us for nothing. Y'all believe anything. All of that's coming in my mind now because I'm like,
Yep.
December 19th, he's locked up. Everybody like, oh, we didn't see his face. Y'all don't even know if that's real. Y'all believe anything that the X, Y, and Z. So I'm just like, seeing him come through. So now it's like, boom,
Yep.
one obstacle down. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
We see him. It's him. He's incarcerated.
Reality hit.
Right. So then when he came in, like he had a look. He had a look on. I'm like, is he under medication or something? Like because he didn't look smug, but
Yeah.
he didn't look like I don't know. He didn't look like he was being cocky or arrogant. Like the picture we had, he didn't look like that in that courtroom. So I'm
No.
looking,
No.
trying to get a read on his body language, and I think that as it was speeding up and picking up, he's realizing he's in trouble. And
Yes.
I believe that his attorney, based on the questions that he was asking and the information that took place in there,
Hmm.
I think he realized you cooked
Man.
well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I heard the plea not guilty, it was like it wasn't like a cocky not guilty or nothing like that. But for the most part, boom, we get to the beginning of the preliminary hearing. So now he there, the district attorney and all their team come out. So now we just sitting there like, all right, now what's about to happen?
Right.
So boom, she like, all right, I'm gonna call a witness out. She called the first witness out. Gave his testimony. She asked him the questions. He was very accurate with what he said. Everything seemed to be thorough. And again, you don't have to remember the truth. You know what I mean? You don't have to make up the truth. It's easy to just say what happened. So then I noticed that the Seelinger's attorney, like, he was trying to trip him up because he was like 3 shots, right? He was like, no, I
Hmm.
never said how many shots. I said shots. So
Yep.
that was one thing that I caught. And
Yes.
then he was like trying to measure distance, like 20 feet, 12 feet. I think he was trying to trip him up on that, but he was
Absolutely.
talking to the witness as if it was a trial.
Yeah.
I mean, and the witness's story stayed consistent through both
Yes.
times.
Yep.
And but the thing with that though is it cleared up a lot of misconceptions from the video that we saw.
Absolutely.
You know
100.
what I
And
mean?
you know what I want to do? I want to go back and watch the video again, not to cut you off, but now that we have like the eyewitness Robert Richmond Jr.'s testimony, I got to go back and look at it to see if it makes sense based on what he was saying. Go ahead. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
at this point, I don't care to watch it. He was there, I wasn't there, so I'm not finna try
Yeah.
to see. That's the thing too. A lot of people was playing detective and attorney and trying to, because you hear people in the back, oh, that ain't how it happened. That ain't. He was right there. Like there's
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who weren't there who saw a video trying to say that's not what happened. His
Right.
story stayed consistent. So
Yes,
when
it
I heard
did.
like the car just poked out a little bit, now I had heard that story too. I heard
Yes,
that
I
the
did
car
too.
was hurt. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
everything took place. So I
Right.
heard that. I'm like, whoa. He like, I heard shots. And then he was, all right, well, how far were you from it? Where was Osborne? So he
Right.
was trying to trip him up. And he's like, yo, I was focused on this. Then followed the
Yeah.
car. So then he said, dude hopped in the van, pulled up, told him to get in. Like,
Yep.
all right, bet, boom. So then the other one, the only question he tried to ask to kind of mix him up was 3 shots. He was like, I never said a number. I just said I heard shots. And then the
Right.
measurement of distance, it ain't like, you know what I mean? Dude's like I don't know what somebody who would measure distance would be considered a professional, but it's not
Right.
like he was one of them. So there was no trip ups there with that, and I appreciate it. Like it took. This is the thing too, right? I don't think because we live in Erie and we've been on social media so much about it, it's not as real to everybody. That
Hmm.
man sat across from a man who killed another man
Right.
and pretty much said, "I saw you. This
Yeah.
is everything that I saw, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm willing to tell the district attorney,
Yep.
and I'm willing to tell your defense attorney." You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? So like, I'm like, okay, that was some stand up stuff. You know what I mean? For him to
Yes, it
sit up,
was.
and then even when they tried to trip him up, he like, no, 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 I
Yeah.
did not say that. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And then when there were things where he like, I don't recall, he wasn't up there trying to make nothing up. So everything that he said, it
Hey,
sounded
real
like,
quick. He when I caught this part too, because he tried to trip him up on the shots a couple times. One of the times he tried to trip him up is when Robert was explaining it. He said, "Then I heard shots," and he went pop, pop, pop. And so he did that three times, and then the attorney went back to, "Okay, so you heard three shots," and he was like, "No, I didn't say that. I said I heard shots." And he said, "Well, you did it three times." He was just using that as an example, and he
you
still
know what's
tried to
crazy?
trick him
I
up.
don't remember hearing him say pop, pop, pop. So when he
Yeah,
said that, he went back to that three shots. I'm still like, he trying to trip him up.
yeah, he
But you know
was.
what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you trying to trip him up. So then after that, he went to so then the next witness come out, which was a police officer.
yep,
So when that happened, I'm like, oh wow. So
yeah,
again, the district attorney go through, ask him job title, time, location, where was you at? So now the information coming out, they've been setting up shop all day for this.
yep,
Everybody knew what was going on, why they was in the area, why this thing was going on. So now, as you hearing all of this, now I feel like that's why the police were so prone and so opening to testifying because, like, yo, fam, this was not what you know. We play sports like this was not part of the game plan. You know what I mean?
right,
Nobody ever
right,
said, "Oh, as parole agents, we're supposed to shoot." And then
yeah,
also another thing, they were like, they didn't say that they saw letters on his vest that night.
that's right.
They said they saw him in the morning.
Yes,
So they was
yes,
like, was he wearing the same jacket? Well, it looked like a tan jacket. It said something on it.
yeah,
The first witness said he never seen anything, but it looked like a flak jacket.
yes,
Second witness was a police officer, and the third witness was a police officer. Said they seen him earlier in that day with it on, seen
yep,
the colors, assumed that that's what it was, but
right,
they never, ever, ever
yep,
confirmed. They
that's right.
never, ever, ever verified during that preliminary hearing if
Hmm.
that jacket said police, corrections, security,
Yep,
crossing guard, airport staff. None
yep,
of that was ever verified, right?
right, right.
So, the second officer, he goes through, he gives the rundown. He was like, "So you opened the door?" He's like, "No, I didn't open the door. It was locked." He's like,
Hmm.
"Did you shoot the window, bro?" He's like, "No, my partner reached." So he tried to trip. So then I'm like, he even trying to trip the police up. And then the way the second officer, the younger, I don't know if he is Hispanic or if he's biracial, he was giving the attorney a look like in disbelief, like, "Yo, I can't believe you questioning me like I did something wrong. Like, we
Right.
all met up earlier." Because then he was like, "How far was the car going? Like 10, 15?" He was like, "Yeah, I'd say that." He's like, "Fast."
Hmm.
No, he's like, "No, no faster than that." Like, the
Hmm.
car was, and then it matched up with the first witness because he heard a vroom, and then the car just
Coasting.
drifted. So you
Yep.
got one witness on this side of the street saying that, and then a police officer who
Hmm.
stopped the car with his car saying the car just slow rolled and they just stopped it. And
Yep.
then they like, "Oh, I thought," he said, "I didn't know what was going on." So he said, "We cleared the car and seen Seelinger come running up the street." And he
Yes,
said, "Shot." And Seelinger confirmed. And the police officer gave testimony. The parole agent confirmed I was the one who shot.
yes, absolutely,
He
absolutely.
confirmed that at that
Yep.
preliminary because the witness was like, I mean, not the witness, their defense attorney was like, he asked, and the first witness said he never seen a gun.
Right.
Remember that was said, never seen a
Yep.
gun.
Yep.
Osborne didn't have a gun. I didn't see Sealing with a gun. I heard him say, "Stop, park it, get out."
Yeah.
I
Yep.
heard gunshots. So it was never confirmed that Sealinger had a gun until it was a police officer
That confirmed it.
confirmed that
Yes.
not only did he didn't say he seen it.
No.
He said under oath, Kevin Sealinger told him I was the
Absolutely.
one who shot.
Absolutely.
That right there was the confirmation. Boom, right there. Okay,
Yes.
now we caught the gun. because the
Yes.
police took the stand and said it. So
Hmm.
then the guy was trying to trip him like, so you seen him running? He's like, yeah. He's like, did you see a van? He was like, no, I didn't see a van. But mind you, they could have parked the van after he picked him up, parked the van on
Yes.
the corner, and then he ran up.
That's what I
So
was thinking.
it
Yep.
was
Because
never confirmed that the first witness didn't know what he was talking about,
right.
nor was it was no, well, the last witness said this, or are you sure? There was none of that. So
Yeah.
again, it's all adding up. You got one witness from this angle, and this is all the stuff I'm hearing as I'm sitting here. I feel like the way my mind works, I'm a little like Rain Man. I'm seeing numbers, signs, all of
Taking it
this. So
off.
yeah, so I'm like, okay, boom, he's seen him. So
Yep.
then you get the other cop, the corporal. He like, I'm the head of the streets department, and
Right.
he is. Which this is another interesting thing about him, right? So Jason
Hmm.
Morrell is the president of the FOP, I believe, 97, the Erie Police.
Hmm.
He took the stand,
Yep.
gave his statement based on everything. So now what I'm seeing is you got police officer,
Hmm.
two police officers, one that's a corporal, one that's in a union heavy against a parole agent who is being backed by another
Hmm.
fraternal order of police union. So now it's like I'm looking at it like, whoa,
Yeah.
they really didn't like the fact that this took place, right?
Right. Right.
So I'm hearing all of this, and then when he was cross-examined, like I think the question he even asked the question like, yeah, so Cello was shot. He's like, yeah. He was like, was there blood? So then it's just like, yo, man, you just pulling at strings anyway at this
Hmm.
point. And
Hmm.
here's another thing. I believe that the district attorney realized that she got him so much dead to rights that she said no further witnesses. She only
Absolutely.
called, she only called out 3 witnesses for a preliminary hearing.
And she had
Mind,
more.
mind you, there are
Yeah.
more witnesses, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then another thing that I peeped too, like her team, like when they
Hmm.
was about to have an officer read the joint, he objected, like, I don't see the relevance in this.
Yep.
And district attorney, I don't know the other lady's name, but she
Hmm.
broke it down like, well, the only reason why I was gonna have him read it was because of this and this and that. But if it's clear that this is what he about to read, we don't need to continue on. So they was even shutting the objections down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chad Volusius is his name. He didn't
Yep.
seem confident in anything, so I picked up on that as well. And
Yeah.
then the closing statement that he gave, and the DA killed him when she was like, "Well, this isn't trial. I
Hmm.
get what you're saying," but he pretty much gave up his whole defense as far as, well, there's no proof that this was voluntary. I mean, that
First
this was
degree.
malice and stuff like that. So they was
Yeah.
pretty much trying to ask for him to come home.
Yeah.
And I think when the district attorney gave her statement to his statement, dude knew, damn, we done.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was like, and the judge, like, it took her no time to deliberate nothing. I was
Right.
looking at her face like, she was taking notes, and I'm like, how do you keep a straight face to all of this book BS?
Yep.
Especially another thing, finding out Cello was shot in the back 3 times.
Man, I wanted to ask you that question. So let me ask you these two questions. I want you to expand on both of these. Right. Number one, the feeling that we all had when we found out that he was shot in the back. Right. I want you to comment on that. But I also want you to comment because you and I, we have sources out there. We had people through these last 6 months telling us things, and we would broadcast that on right here on Etcetera with the Woodards, and we told everybody about the task force being in the area that night where he could have let Cello go and called it in because he knew the cops were down the street, but he
Literally,
didn't. Right?
literally
So
down the street at Bloom.
yes,
Yeah,
talk
so
about those two things.
when I heard shot in the back, I'm like, I'm just looking at the room around the room now because I'm like, yo, we all had it messed up.
Yes,
We saying, oh, how could you be drugged by a car and shoot somebody in the chest?
yes.
They don't train you like that to shoot nobody. You ain't that good. Why are
It's
you here?
it's impossible
Like,
to
yes,
do.
now I come to find out, like, you was chasing a car. You was out here playing cowboy. Right? So
Yes.
that's what came to my mind,
Yep.
especially when the first witness was like, he was in between the doors.
Yeah.
Like, fam, what are you shooting for?
Exactly.
Especially then when you have you have Corporal Morrell say,
Yep.
not him. The other officer said they was at Bloom. Bloom is
Yes.
on 26 in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
So all I had to do was say, and everybody was on communication. So we got a runner going west on 27th Street, headed this way, if he had been running. And then
Correct.
they even tried to introduce, oh, there was drugs and there was money on him. Like that's not what killed him.
No,
So that's what I was even saying. Like we talk about building our community, understanding like they'll try to paint a picture of us as monsters to get away with treating us any type of way.
absolutely.
I'm just hearing all of this, and I'm just like, yo. But
Yeah.
this is the thing. This is what I do have a question
Mm-hmm.
about, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if anybody else thought to consider this or ask this question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I've been an employee of the state.
Yeah.
So he was charged. His charges were now bound over to court, which means he sits in jail.
Yep.
So you cannot be a state employee while awaiting trial for those type of charges. It's unethical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means he should have been fired.
Yeah.
So here's this. Here's the kicker to that.
Mm-hmm.
If he was fired, then that means he no longer has union protection.
That's
Which
true.
means, is the FOP representing him anymore? And who's paying for that attorney now? If the union was paying for it because he was an employee and
Mm-hmm.
now was protected by this union, he's facing not work-related charges, cuz
Right.
criminal
Yeah.
homicide.
Yeah.
This it wasn't the charges didn't get bound over in court as a work-related incident. And we said
Correct.
it before. This wasn't an accidental work-related death or nothing like that. This
Right.
is criminal homicide, and they trying to get him with one. You know what I mean? They
Mm-hmm.
trying to hit with, So you talk criminal homicide and all of these charges as an employee of the state. You can't work here with them type of charges, cuz
Exactly.
you can't. So you got to lose your job, which means if you're no longer working here, you're no longer represented by the union.
That's true.
No longer
That's true.
represented by the union. I wonder how much conversation the FOP would have to say on his behalf now. Because at first, we all know because you have a job and you're in the union, they have to advocate for you. Whether they
Absolutely.
agree with you or disagree with you, you pay them
Right.
union dues,
Yep.
you have union representation.
They're doing their
But
job. Yeah.
if he's not employed,
Mm-hmm.
that means he's no longer paying union dues,
Correct.
which means he no longer has union representation. And them union people do not play about them dues and do
Yep.
not play about that representation. I was a part of one.
Mm-hmm.
So if he no longer has these things, I wonder what the statement is now of the FOP. I wonder if they are now supporting a man who previously was employed by the state, who is
Right.
now criminally charged with homicide. Are they still going to stand with him?
Right.
And are they
Right.
still going to support him? Because if they do still support him, then it goes to show the character of the people in the FOP. Because he should not be an employee of a state with a criminal homicide charge. There's this is not one of those. Okay, well we're gonna hold your position for you until you beat those
Right.
charges. Like this ain't DUI. You know what I mean?
No.
This ain't no regular charge. This is something that's serious. That's going to put a tarnish on his reputation for the rest of his life if he's guilty or not guilty. He should not be on a state payroll. He
Mm-hmm.
should not be an employee of the state. He should not
Mm-hmm.
be represented by any union if he is not an employee where those union workers have a contract with that entity. So
Right.
if he's represented by a union and he is not working in a union, then every other member of that FOP union should be furious because that's where they're going. Somebody,
Absolutely. I think that the right before the hearing, the last that we heard from the FOP is that he was suspended without pay. We haven't heard a word after the preliminary hearing, so that's a great question. We got to find out what his working status is
right?
now.
Because if
Now
you're
that the
suspended without pay, you can't pay union dues.
absolutely,
So if you
absolutely,
can't pay your union dues, then you're not a
yeah,
full share or even a partial share member of the
yeah.
union because you have dues to pay as a member of the union.
Great question.
When you are
Great
no
question.
longer employed, you are no
Yeah,
longer part of a union because you're only a part of the union because you're an employee of the state.
yeah.
You're not an
Also,
employee of the state. How can you be a part of any union?
your reaction to this too, because this is another thing. This is the whole ball game right here. This is the whole ball game, and it was avoided. This is what they were standing on business on, and it was avoided. There was one question to Robert Richmond Jr. Did you see the agent on the ground? And he said, no, I did not see him on the ground. They did not bring up the fact that in their original statement that we heard back in July that parole agent Seelinger was being dragged. They
So check this out,
never,
right? And I'm
Oh
glad
yeah,
that you said that because we never knew where that statement came from. So here's
yes,
another thing, right?
yeah,
That statement never came from his attorney to represent him in court, right?
right,
Which also, but they released it to the news, which means that that could have been a false statement. But here's the crazy thing about that.
right,
Girl Shamel caught so much heat for
yes,
the news releasing a statement, and she said it wasn't true.
correct,
People still said she was lying, right?
yes,
But when it's time to go to court,
yep,
being drugged was never brought up, and she said, "I never said that."
exactly,
Even in his defense, they never even said we were being drugged. They never caught
yes,
they were being drugged. So it's like a lot of people should be thinking like, "Oh wow, we made a big mistake by accusing and blaming his girl for this," because they didn't even use being drugged by a car as a defense for him to come home from jail that day.
exactly. Now
So
he
if
did
that's not
state,
if that's not a part of his defense,
yeah,
and that wasn't his statement, but then they
right,
still published it,
right,
that means they'll publish anything to lie on us. And that
absolutely,
woman said, "These people was lying on me. I did not say that." And what the streets did was they tore her apart and said she the reason why it took so long is because she gave that statement.
yep,
That statement didn't come up in court. The
yep,
the attorney, Kevin's attorney, didn't say, okay, well, we got a witness, so we're gonna call Shamel up here. And Shamel, you said he was being drugged. None of that
yes,
came out, right?
yes,
About
yes,
being drugged came out. Even when they was asking about his outfit, right? What they
yeah,
said outfit was he wearing? They never asked the cop was he shredded up or bruised
yep,
up? Did he look
yep,
hurt? And
yep,
then they called the ambulance there. They
yeah,
never said, did Kevin go to the ambulance to talk to somebody? They
yep,
never said, did you guys check on him as he was running?
yep,
Or you just got drugged by a car, because how you run up the street?
exactly,
Police officer said he saw him running, not the
yeah,
first witness, the police officer. So the police testified he was running. They never used dragging as a car as a defense, but here it is. Shamel, they made this false statement about Shamel, and everybody tried to drag her through the mud, and which is crazy. But it's okay for us to just exclude the fact that we did that to her because it didn't come up in court.
yeah, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. The original statement was that he was being dragged and he shot because he was using because Cello was using the car as a weapon. That is what the original statement was all about, him being dragged, and they never brought it up in court, but they lied about Shamel and they lied about that because they never brought this up in court. Now, the one thing that they did bring up in court, Volusia did say early in the hearing that it was self defense. So I ask you, DC, if it was self defense and the only thing that was brought up in court, factual information from witnesses, was the fact that the car was moving and the car was moving away from Seelinger, and Seelinger never made it to the driver's side. He made it to the middle of the car. And the facts are that Cello was shot in the back. What is the self defense? He
Now,
was unarmed.
this is what the self defense was, because remember, they also asked, what did you find on his person? They
Mm-hmm.
found drugs and money, they said.
Right.
So is that what Kevin was defending himself from? Because there was no weapons. They
Kevin
never
didn't know
said
that.
weapons found.
Right.
They
Kevin
didn't say,
didn't know that.
listen, they didn't say it was a knife.
Yep.
They didn't say it was a gun. They
Yep.
said the only thing that they found on Cello was drugs and money. And then
Right.
even Belushi tried to emphasize, oh, so you would say it's about this amount? It doesn't matter. I don't care if it was
Yeah.
the size of a basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't have right to kill somebody because they're driving off in their car, especially as a parole agent, on top of knowing that you have access to the police, which were not even a mile away.
Right. Right.
I mean,
And
big, and you know where Cello was going to go, or where he will be at. So,
absolutely. And the fact that Seelinger never made it up to the driver's side, he never knew that Cello had anything on him, regardless of what he had.
they're
He
playing
had no
cowboy.
idea. They didn't know until they got him out of the car and they cut his pants off down to his boxers and his shirt, and then they removed the items out of his pocket. The cops didn't even know upon clearing the vehicle that he had anything on him. They found out when they checked his pocket. So that wouldn't have been an excuse to shoot because he didn't know anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know what this dude is talking about as far as self defense is concerned. I don't know why he would plead not guilty, when then during the hearing he his attorney admitted that Kevin was the one that shot him. At least the cop admitted that it was said to him. Um, I do love the fact that he said we heard an unfamiliar voice on the radio. So they weren't even prepared to hear from the parole agent. It was an unfamiliar voice. That unfamiliar voice could have said, "We got one. He's running.
We
He's in
got
a
a
white
runner.
vehicle." You see what I'm saying?
We
So
got somebody in yeah.
I don't want that to go by the wayside with these people out there that's making these excuses
And
out.
then on top of that, right?
Yeah.
As a parole agent, it is
Hmm.
never your first action to draw your gun. You're not trained
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely.
You're not police officers.
Hmm.
If he is trying to run, let him go.
Yep.
And the thing is police don't even shoot at cars.
Right.
They're gonna chase you as far as they can, and then there's certain places now where they just let you go.
Right. Right.
So it's like, and then here's another thing, right? Remember, I don't know when it was, but there was a video released of Kevin Seelinger before chasing someone with a
Yes.
taser out.
Yep. I posted that too. Yeah.
So this is that right there would show, man. Listen, and then just all the information that we've had and the evidence that I ain't gonna say evidence, conversation that we've had and them right to know forms, like he's
Yeah.
cooked.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
cooked.
Yeah.
She said I got enough evidence. Again, they didn't try to throw out the harassment because
Nope.
again, Kello may have been off parole in January.
Correct.
I mean, none of those charges got. Every charge got, and she confidently looked at him like, "Well, yeah, them was good closing statements, but this ain't trial. Like,
Exactly.
you know what she doing, and she ready, and her team was prepared too, because we even know again." When Aaron Osborne, if they don't try to plea out before it goes to trial, when he takes that stand, it's over.
Yeah.
Or any other witness, when they take that stand, when they get Lyle Cook up there,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or they get the ballistics person to come
Yep.
up there. Or they get another attorney to break down the law. Or they get the autopsy report up there. Like, and I think that based on the body language of that attorney, when he gave those closing statements, he lacked confidence in his speech. Kevin did not have any confidence in his body language. I think that after that hearing, they realized that this shit is real, and I truly think that I don't think that he stands a chance at all. If I'm being
No.
honest, I'm not an attorney. You know what I mean? I don't none of that, but just based on common knowledge and what I believe, the way things should happen,
Yeah.
and the way it looks, and then when you talk about criminal, you're an employee of the state and you still getting charged as a criminal, and the judge agrees with it and sends you to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's cooked.
Not only did she agree with it, the second DA Hers was done talking, she bound over those
Heard it.
those charges in a second. Like it happened so fast. It wrapped up so fast, and me not being familiar with the court hearings and stuff, I didn't know what had happened. And I'm looking back, and then I look up, and we got like 8 deputies standing in front of us, and they're whisking him out already. And I'm like, oh my goodness! Like all of that for an hour and 45 minutes, and the judge made a decision just like that. She wasn't buying it. She wasn't buying it. I mean,
I don't think it was honestly, and they really didn't have like what their defense was is that it can't be proven as criminal homicide. They was looking for manslaughter or something like that. They
yeah,
don't feel like it's enough evidence to prove that he intentionally killed that man, and I think that's what their defense was. So
right,
there's no telling what they finna do when they go back to the drawing board, but
yeah.
they thought that was going to be their defense. They cooked on that one.
Your reaction to this statement. The only thing that Kevin Seelinger did that day was his job. What is your reaction when his attorney said that?
I honestly felt like he knew he was done. Like it didn't
Yeah,
bother me because at the end of the day, like the attorney wasn't there. You know what I mean? The attorney's gonna do what he has to do to get paid. He's
yeah,
gonna do what he has to do to get his client off. So I don't have any ill feelings towards the attorney for doing his job. It's gonna be his job to try to sway the jury that Kevin was doing his job. So But then ultimately, like that's the best you can come up with. That's why he seemed defeated. He felt to me, it felt like he was defeated, and then it also made me wonder: can they afford to pay this man and his team
Right.
if he's no longer employed? Like you know what I mean? And if that GoFundMe or those supporters are willing to pay him, maybe that's what it will be. But I
Right.
truly think that he was just like, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
he was just doing his job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because what else could you say? You have this as a defense attorney.
You gotta
You
say something.
say something.
You gotta say
You
something.
can't be
Right.
like, yeah, he did it, but y'all can't prove it. Like, he did his job. He just, what else could he say? So I didn't take that like, oh man, that was rude, that was disrespectful. It was more or less like that man was putting on a performance to earn his paycheck. But at the end of the day, I think he knows what it is, and no attorney wants to lose.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he probably hoping he get fired.
Yeah. Hey, my wife is asking, do you think that they overcharged? Do you think that those five charges are too much, or do you agree with all the charges
Not
because
enough.
all of them were bound over?
It's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not enough charges. And
Yeah.
it could be more. If they try to start playing down, it could be more.
That's
Because
true.
again, there was a man who said he witnessed it. He was right there. What about
Yeah.
his life? What about reckless endangerment for him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I wonder who else was out there who was testifying. Shamel, she
Yeah.
was right there getting out the car. Like
Right.
Eric Osborne, he was right there. You know what I mean? Like we don't know how he
Absolutely.
feels about everything. So no, it should be more. But
Yeah.
that's what got him to sock it to him. And they probably was hoping that he plead. And if he do try to plead down, they're gonna be like, okay, well, if you want to plead down, here goes some other charges that's gonna put 5 years here, 10 years there, 3 years here. You know what I mean? All of
Yeah.
those small charges to where if you try to plead to something small, okay, well, we're gonna run this consecutive with. You know what I mean? After you finish that, we're gonna do these three. Then
Yeah.
after you do that, you're gonna do these five. So no, I think them five charges was the ones that was just kind of like we gonna sock it to you, and if you want to fight them, we got a whole bunch for you in this grocery bag back here.
I think there's going to be a lot that's going to play out here. You know, they never. I know they know it. I know they know it because we've been blowing smoke about this. But I believe that the January 18th, July 18th issue is going to come up. I think that has to do with um, some of the charges. Maybe we talked about possibly the harassment charge. I think that's a big thing. I think she was holding on to that if she's going to bring that up because that was not one thing that she needed during the preliminary hearing. She did exactly what she needed to do to keep him in jail, and successfully she did that. But I'm just wondering if because she was carbon copied on the four documents that we saw from the Right to Know stating that he was off parole January 18th, but yet he was still on through July 18th. And that document has not been produced yet. Doesn't mean they don't have it, but we have not seen it yet. It was not provided in the Right to Know. I think that that's the game changer right there. And you're right. There could be additional charges. I mean, we don't know what Aaron said. We don't know what his statement was. Oh, and the one thing I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you caught this or not, but Aaron's name was brought up one time during the preliminary hearing. And I think it was a mistake by Volusia when he was checking with Robert Richmond Jr. and he wanted to say the first parole agent that
He
approached
said
the vehicle,
his name a couple times.
but he said his name, and that was the first time through this whole process that we heard his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't leave
Um,
we don't leave him alone. We
yeah,
don't leave him alone.
absolutely. I think that I think he's got a lot to say for this. I think he's gonna add a lot of value
We gonna leave him alone.
to this. Absolutely, absolutely. Moving on. I just think when it was an emotional day, man, when we left and went outside the courtroom, the courthouse, actually, um, just so many joyous people, man, and um, you know, as advocates, I just felt like number one, I was honored to be there to see this actually happen, and you know just as well as I do, you know how much I've been talking about what you all do up there, boots on the ground, man, and the city council meetings and county council meetings and the protests and all the work that you guys are doing. And I've been doing what I could down here, but to be there for that day. And I knew a bunch of the deputies as well, man. And to be honest with you, it seemed like a lot of those guys were on our side. You know what I mean? That was the impression that I got from a lot of them. But to be up there and to see this happen, man, and to have my cousin Sonny sit right next to me, man. I know I checked in on him a couple times, and I'm like, "You doing all right?" He's like, "I'm okay, cuz. You good? I'm okay, cuz." You know, and I know hearing some of the descriptions, especially when they were talking about the wounds and stuff. That's hard to hear, man. I mean, um, I don't know if I had fully prepared myself to hear exactly what we were going to hear during. I didn't know how it was going to go. You know what I mean? Did it go how you expected?
As far as the decision,
Just the whole thing. Like, did I? I didn't expect to hear him get shot in the back.
oh yeah,
That
no, I mean as far as no, I didn't have any expectation. I expected him not to come home, but as far as like
yeah,
what was to be said in there, I didn't have any expectations because I feel
yeah,
like again once he got arrested, I feel like the things that we can do as public, we did all that we can do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I was past the conversation just speculating and oh, hope this happened or hope that happened. I think it's more or less now we to the point to where the justice system got to play its course, but then within the process of that, like again, that's why I said like talking about community and us talking about building up and uplifting because there's a lot of people who are getting fixated on this situation to where it's the only thing that they feel like needs to be talked about. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And then there are people who are upset because as we're talking about community, they feel like we're using Cello's name to try to like build a brand or build up reputations. And I think those folks are some people who just don't realize how important it is to be civically responsible and to do the next right thing. Because then at the following the city council meeting the next day, like I didn't get a chance to make it, but I've listened to what Daria said, and she put everybody on notice. Like, it's time to
yeah,
do work. We got some
yeah,
real work to do around here. She said, I've been here. You guys should come. I've been there. You guys should come. She talked about how they do board appointments and how that's going to change. She talked about being more active on social media because that's where a lot of people are. So that's going to change. So I think now, as we realizing that, we've got to the point um, that we've been to court. He's been arrested. We've been to the preliminary. There probably won't be another court hearing for some months out.
yeah,
So we as advocates, or we as a community who are talking about change, who are talking about justice for Cello, we need to be figuring out what's the strategy for us to make sure that this type of stuff never happens again.
yeah,
How to restay relevant as far as our concerns. My concerns specifically are on the east side of Erie. How do
mhm,
we talk about getting some of these financial resources in our community so we can build our community up? How can we get our people thinking that it's not okay to sell drugs? How can we get other people to understand that it's not okay to kill drug users or people who sell drugs? How do we get people to understand that trauma is real and we need to start uplifting our community or things like this are going to continue to happen? Because I think we're now to the point to where people finna start coming at each other like, oh, why y'all keep saying cello or talk about something else, not realizing that like this is only how do I say this? Let me how am I trying to say this? Like, and the reason why I'm saying this cause is because like I've been doing this. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I said this on a couple of different podcasts. Like
mm,
I've been going to city council meetings. I've been going to county council meetings. I've been to school board meetings. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I've been active in the community. I've been doing workshops. I've been in schools, after school programs, talking about change, talking about uplifting our community. And
yeah,
it hit so close to home to where everybody knew cello to where now it's just like people are looking at people like they're mad that people are trying to do the right thing. And
yep,
my defense, I can only speak for myself, but I've been trying to do the right thing for quite some time, and I wasn't getting this much attention. I
right,
wasn't getting this much heat. It wasn't this much pressure as to, oh, why are you worried about kids shooting in the school? Or, oh, why are you worried about somebody being killed at a party on New Year's? Or, oh, why are you concerned because these kids can't read? Who do you think you are? Don't talk about those kids. You know what I mean? But now
right,
we get to the point to where everybody knows cello and people don't understand civic responsibility and people don't understand civic duty. So what they trying to tell people is oh well, you can't talk and say that name because I know him and you don't know him, so it's not your job or it's not your responsibility. You know what I mean? So when we talk about changing and we talk about justice for Chilla, we also need to be talking about getting out of that mindset. Because
Yeah.
how is it that I can advocate for change for one person and it's okay, but I can't advocate for change for another person without catching slack because you're comfortable with him or because you love that person more than me. Like it doesn't matter. I live right here in the city of Erie, Pennsylvania, and when something's going on in the city that I live in that I don't like, I'm going to say something. And if there's something that I can do about it, I'm going to do it. And if there are more people who are willing to organize and strategize and do something about it, then we're going to do it. And that's where we need to be taking our focus. How can we continue to be strong for our community? How can we continue to be a voice for the people who can't speak up for themselves? How do we continue to keep justice for Cello in the forefront of our mind while also working on accomplishing other goals and taking steps in the right direction? And also, how do we get the bag in our community? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if people are offended by me saying that. I don't care if people are upset that I'm saying, yes, I want a bag. Yes, I want some money for my family. Yes,
Yeah.
I want some money for my friends. I'm not asking for handouts. I'm not
Right.
asking for education. I'm asking
Yeah.
for opportunities to do the work and apply myself. So again, when we talk about justice for Cello, when
Yep.
we talk about change in our community, when we talk about us taking steps in the right direction, everybody needs to understand what we need to continue to build together. We need to continue to push forward, and we need to not worry about the people who have a problem with the things that we say or the things that we do. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'll speak for myself when I say this.
Hmm.
I've been doing this, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. You know what I mean? Nobody. I don't care who you call. I don't care who you reach out to. I don't care how many letters get sent in the mail to say, "Hey, tell Deontay to stop advocating for change." I
Yeah.
will never stop advocating for change. I will never stop being an advocate for my community. I will never not speak up for what is right and speak against what is wrong. Like nobody or nothing is gonna stop me because I want people to feel comfortable in the environment that I'm in, and I want to feel comfortable in the environment that I'm in. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I've always been doing my civic justice. I've always been involved in my community. It may not have been as polarized because somebody as popular as Marcello wasn't impacted or affected, but it's to the point now that I really don't care who has a problem with us seeking justice for Cello,
Right.
seeking change for Erie, and seeking a bag for our people because that's what we need right here in Erie, Pennsylvania. And for the people who have a problem with us doing whatever it is that we're doing, then I would love to see them come forward and do it with us and help us because I'm advocating for change not only for me but for other people around me. So I
Right.
would love for somebody to come advocate for some change for me as well. I want somebody to go into a room that I'm not in or I'm not allowed in and say, "Hey, Deontay Cooley needs help," like I do. I want to see somebody go to a meeting and be like, "Hey, everybody on the east side has a problem," like I do, since they don't like me doing it or they don't want me doing it. Because even if I don't say it, I still want change and I'm still gonna work for it. So I'm gonna be the person to say it. I want more people to be the people to say it. I want people to understand that community concerns isn't just about, a parole agent killing Cello. Justice for Cello is not just about locking Kevin Seelinger up and keeping him there forever. It's
Right.
about us impacting our community. It's about us uplifting our people. It's about us having more resources. It's about us having more ownership. It's about us getting to a bag. And it's about us standing in the face of adversity. So I do not care who does not like what I say. I don't care who does not like what I do. I don't care who you write to, who you report to, or who you call. Nothing is going to stop. I'm willing to die about change, bro. Like
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with Malcolm the other day, and I told him, bro, it's go time. And
Yeah.
I said, bro, I'm willing to die about this shit. I
Yeah.
didn't ask him if he was, but I've been saying it's public record. I shared it a while ago when we was at Perkins. Like, this is what I do. So I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. I'm not
Yep.
shutting up and I'm not being quiet. I'm gonna do it in the most respectful way I can. But if feelings get hurt because I'm advocating for the people that live in the city that I love, then oh well, man, suck it up at this point. Like I'm done being nice and I'm not finna keep being so nice and articulate my words so nicely. I'm gonna start meeting people where they are so they can understand how serious I really am.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Any final words? What we got going on next, man?
I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, we're gonna continue to have bag talk. We'll continue to talk finances. We'll continue to talk change in our community. We'll
Yep.
continue to make sure that we raise the national awareness for justice for Cello. Um, Malcolm, I think Malcolm got some things he's working on. I got some things I'm working on. So again, man, we're gonna keep building. And when we say justice for Cello, it's not just an arrest. So For people who are offended by anything that they think comes from that or spins off from that, then I mean, by all means, please step to the plate and help us fight. We ain't going to. We're not going to stop. So
Nope.
help us bring some back, help us bring some resources, help us bring some justice, help us bring some education, and come to area.
There you go. Hey, it was a great day on January 21st as we wrapped up the preliminary hearing. Just to recap, all charges bound over to trial. Fantastic. That's a small step in justice for Cello, and we are out for some bigger things. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We got quite some time before the trial begins, if we get to that particular point. And we appreciate everyone's support, everyone that has supported us, everyone that has supported the family, and everyone that supports justice for Cello. For Deontay Cooley, I'm Craig Woodard. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We will see you guys